Around 280 German police officers have conducted raids on properties in 8 states and confiscated computers and phones. Their targets are believed to be members of the Reichsbürger movement and have been accused of forming a criminal association. So who exactly are these people? Why is the government so worried about them? And exactly what are they accused of? The Reichsbürger movement as a whole isn't one cohesive organization. It's a general term for people and groups who believe that the Federal Republic of Germany does not legally exist and so they're not bound by its laws. Since they don't recognize the legitimacy of the state, they refuse to cooperate with it. They might refuse to, for example, pay their taxes or comply with court orders. Some of these people seem like almost harmless cranks dressing up in robes and insisting that they are a prince or a king of some kind, issuing their own completely useless ID cards and passports, and even driving around in cars with fake number plates. But there is a darker, more sinister side to all of this. Many Reichsbürger have been involved in far less harmless illegal activities, such as the kidnap and attempted murder of law enforcement officials and even planning armed coups. Because they don't believe that German law applies to them, they believe they have the right to take the law into their own hands. Technically speaking, Reichsbürger believe that the Federal Republic of Germany does not legally exist and that therefore they are subject to the old German Empire as it used to exist before the Second World War, or even before the First World War. The German government distinguishes between Reichsbürger proper and what it calls Selbstverwalter, which is much closer to what in the US would be called sovereign citizens. These are people who believe that they can simply opt out of the system and declare their own homes to be sovereign territories. The difference is more academic than anything else, but the end result is basically the same. People who believe they are not subject to German law and can turn murderously violent. It is a growing problem in Germany. The Office for the Protection of the Constitution estimates that last year there were around 23,000 Reichsbürger and Selbstverwalter in Germany, an increase of about 2,000 over the previous year. During the pandemic, we saw a kind of an unholy alliance of Reichsbürger, anti-vaxxers, and various far-right movements, some of them homegrown like the Querdenker movement and others imported from abroad like QAnon. Basically, a broad coalition of potentially violent people who believe that the state apparatus is illegitimate and should be destroyed by any means necessary, and as such, a credible threat to the Federal Republic itself. The most recent raids are part of an ongoing investigation into the activities of a group of Reichsbürger allegedly led by a 58-year-old man who was arrested back in 2021. He is currently under investigation for the formation of a criminal association, incitement to hatred, and harassment. In the intervening 2 years, the authorities have been monitoring various Telegram accounts to identify a further 20 or so members of this group and have now conducted these raids in order to secure more evidence. These people are being accused of using a classic Reichsbürger technique. Basically, they flood government agencies with phone calls, emails, and other forms of communication in order to hamper them in their work. Essentially, it's a kind of a low-tech denial-of-service attack. It's not as innocent as that makes it sound, though. As well as being tied up with pointless work, civil servants are often subjected to actual harassment, being accused of human rights violations and war crimes, and threatened with violence or death. And so it's hardly surprising that the authorities are trying to do something about this. And this raid is not the end of the story by any means. It's simply a way of securing evidence before it can be hidden or destroyed. It's impossible to say how bad this is going to get, but it is a growing problem to add to all the other growing problems that we have at the moment. Personally, my take on it is that social media has unfortunately made it far too easy to spread conspiracy theories and political propaganda and to make them look convincing. And that's why these movements are on the rise. Which is a problem because how can we regulate social media without giving government the power to censor it in any way they want? Because that is a road that we don't want to go down either. I remain optimistic though. I'm sure we will eventually find a way, it just might take some time. It's taken less than a generation for social media to come from absolutely nowhere to being the fundamentally integral part of our lives that it is today. And we just haven't got the hang of it yet. That's all.